the sun of Proxima Centauri Tseku, bathed the sprawling metropolis of Vexora Prime in hues of molten gold, its towering crystalline structures shimmering like an ocean of frozen light. Streets thrummed with the vibrant pulse of countless species, each moving with purpose under the hum of levitating transport crafts. But for Evelyn Carter, the kaleidoscopic marvel of the alien city blurred into irrelevance. Her 9-year-old son, Leo, was missing. The last trace of him was in the enigmatic biofloric gardens, a wonder of alien ecology, teeming with luminescent flora and creatures that seemed plucked from dreams and nightmares. Evelyn stood in the administrative chamber of the Intergalactic Academy, her fists clenched at her sides. The director, a towering alien with iridescent blue skin and star-like eyes, shifted uneasily under her unyielding gaze. His voice, a resonant hum that reverberated in the air, attempted to soothe her. Mounting panic. "Mrs. Carter," he began, hands raised in a placating gesture. "We have dispatched search teams. The Zephyros caverns are vast, yes, but our drones assure us they are safe. We believe Leo may have wandered—" "Safe?" Evelyn's voice cut through. His explanation, sharp and unyielding. She stepped closer, her eyes blazing with fury. "He's a child. Your safe caverns just swallowed my son." The director faltered, clearly unprepared for the hurricane of emotion directed at him. But Evelyn didn't linger for a response. Turning sharply, she marched out of the chamber and into the bustling streets. The city's chaotic energy matched her resolve as she boarded her rented freighter, the Starblazer. Its utilitarian frame held none of the sleek beauty of the alien ships docked nearby, but it was sturdy and armed. As the engines roared to life, Evelyn's mind was already racing ahead, piecing together fragments of information. She had no time for protocols or interstellar red tape. Somewhere out there, Leo was waiting. And if the galaxy stood in her way, then the galaxy would learn what it meant to challenge a determined mother. Evelyn's journey led her to Trionis Fair, a murky, humid planet dominated by sprawling swamps and shimmering orange skies. The air was thick, with an otherworldly mist that smelled faintly of sulfur and flowers. Towering trees with crystalline trunks jutted from the swampy waters, their translucent leaves refracting the dim sunlight into cascading rainbows. Strange creatures skittered along the water's surface, some resembling spiders made of liquid metal, others like floating orbs of light that blinked in and out of existence. The Starblazer landed with a mechanical groan on a relatively stable patch of ground near the coordinates of the faint energy signature she'd been tracking from Leo's communicator. As Evelyn stepped out, her boots sank slightly into the spongy, bioluminescent ground, sending ripples of glowing blue light across the terrain. Before she could take another step, a group of tall figures emerged from the swamp's dense underbrush. They were Trionites, an insectoid species known for their territorial nature. Their segmented bodies shimmered under the light, each movement producing a faint chime, like wind through glass. Their multifaceted eyes reflected Evelyn's image 100-fold as they raised energy pikes, their tones sharp and aggressive. "You trespass on Trionite territory, human," the leader announced, its voice a strange resonance of clicks and hums, translated through her wrist comm. "State your purpose or face the consequences." Evelyn, already on edge, raised her hands but kept her stance firm. "I'm looking for my son," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through her veins. "He's just a boy. If you've seen him, tell me, and I'll leave." The Trionite leader tilted its head, the clicking sounds of its mandibles echoing as it conferred with its companions. After a moment, it stepped forward. "No human child has been seen here. You must leave." Evelyn's patience snapped. "I'm not going anywhere until I find him." Before the standoff could escalate further, a high-pitched alarm blared from the Starblazer. Evelyn spun toward her ship just as its automated defense systems activated, responding to the perceived threat of the armed Trionites. A barrage of precision lasers erupted from the ship, disabling the Trionites' weapons with frightening accuracy. The alien group froze, their shimmering bodies glowing faintly as they surrendered, raising their spindly arms. Evelyn, bewildered, quickly deactivated the ship's defenses, But the damage was done. The Trionites, their pride clearly wounded, began chittering among themselves. The leader stepped forward once more, but instead of aggression, there was something resembling deference in its tone. "Your tactics are efficient. Trionis recognizes your strength," it said, lowering its weapon. "We will not oppose you." Evelyn blinked, utterly baffled. "I didn't... Wait, what?" But the Trionites had already bowed, their movements solemn. "The human mother has our respect. You may proceed through Trionite lands freely." As Evelyn climbed back aboard the Starblazer, shaking her head in disbelief, she noticed a small beacon on her scanner. It was faint, but unmistakable, the next piece of Leo's trail. Without hesitation, she keyed in the new coordinates, unaware that her unintended conquest of Trionis IV would ripple far beyond this swampy world. The trail led Evelyn to the Valtorian system, a cluster of planets orbiting a pale blue star. Her destination was Valtor Prime, the political hub of the system and home to the Council of Resilience, a coalition of 6 alien species known for their bureaucratic complexity and rigid protocols. Unlike the swampy wilderness of Trionis IV, Valtor Prime was a world of artificial perfection. Enormous domed cities floated above the planet's surface, tethered by massive energy pylons that pulsed with a rhythmic glow. The air shimmered with a faint electric hum, as if the entire planet were alive. The Starblazer docked in one of the orbital ports, its utilitarian frame standing out like a sore thumb among the sleek, organically designed ships of the local inhabitants. Evelyn stepped onto the station's pristine platform, her sharp eyes scanning the bustling scene. Every being moved with purpose. Tall, willowy Icarans gliding on limbs like stilts, stout Zovarians with shimmering scales, and even the occasional human envoy, dressed in the formal attire of the Galactic Union. Evelyn's boots clicked against the polished floor as she approached the council chamber, a vast hall shaped like the interior of a pearl, its iridescent walls reflecting light in every direction. The 6 councillors, each representing a different species, sat on hovering platforms that adjusted their height and position to match the flow of conversation. Their attention snapped to Evelyn the moment she entered, her determined stride and unyielding expression cutting through the formal atmosphere like a disruptor beam. One of the councillors, a towering Helioth with a translucent body that glowed faintly from within, addressed her first. Its voice resonated like a soft symphony, both soothing and commanding. "Human traveler, this is a place of governance and peace. State your business." "I'm here for answers," Evelyn said firmly, her voice carrying across the chamber. "My son was last tracked to this system. I've followed every lead, and I won't stop until I find him." The councillors exchanged glances, their silent communication an intricate dance of gestures and subtle shifts in posture. Finally, a Zovarian councillor whose voice resembled the crackling of fire spoke. "There have been reports of unusual activity in the outer sectors. A group known as the Shadows of Clear has been operating in secrecy, capturing individuals with rare energy signatures. If your child possesses such a trait, they may have taken him." Evelyn's jaw tightened. "Where?" "Coordinates will be provided," the Helioth said, its glowing form flickering slightly as it spoke. "But be warned, human, the Shadows of Clear are not to be trifled with. Their reach extends far beyond this system." Evelyn's patience, already threadbare, snapped. She stepped closer, her eyes blazing. "You think I care about their reach? They took my son. Nothing in this galaxy is going to stop me from getting him back." The chamber fell into a tense silence. The councillors, taken aback by her intensity, exchanged another round of silent communication before the Helioth finally responded. "Very well, we will provide what we know," it said, inclining its glowing head. "But know this, once you confront the Shadows, the path forward will be fraught with peril." As Evelyn left the chamber with the coordinates in hand, her mind was already racing. The mention of the Shadows of Clear was unsettling, but she couldn't afford fear. Leo was out there, and the next step of her journey was clear. However, she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that the Council's warnings were more than mere caution. They were a glimpse of the storm to come. The coordinates provided by the Council led Evelyn to the outskirts of the Neuron system. a region of space riddled with ancient debris and the ruins of long-forgotten civilizations. Amid the scattered remains of derelict stations and shattered moons loomed a gargantuan structure, the base of the shadows of Claire. It was a dark, menacing station constructed from jagged metal that seemed to absorb the surrounding starlight, its sharp edges glowing faintly with crimson energy. Evelyn's knuckles whitened on the controls of the Starblazer as she maneuvered the ship into a hidden docking point she discovered using the Council's schematics. The interior of the base was a stark contrast to the empty void outside. The halls were illuminated by pulsating red veins of energy running along the walls, and the air was filled with a low, ominous hum. Alien symbols etched into the metal seemed to twist and shift when viewed out of the corner of her eye, as if alive. She moved cautiously, her pulse rifle gripped tightly, every sound amplified in the oppressive silence. Evelyn's heart pounded as she passed cells made of shimmering energy fields. Inside, various beings, humanoid and alien alike, were trapped, their faces a mixture of fear and resignation. None of them were Leo. A sudden noise made her freeze. The metallic clink of claws against the floor echoed from a nearby corridor. She pressed herself against the wall, her breath steady but shallow as the source of the sound emerged. A Clerian. The creature was tall and lithe, its feline-like form covered in sleek jet-black fur that shimmered under the crimson light. Its glowing red eyes scanned the hallway with a predatory precision, and long curved claws clicked softly as it walked. Evelyn waited until it passed before continuing, her movements careful but swift. Finally, she reached the central chamber. The room was vast, its ceiling lost in shadows, and at its center stood a massive energy containment unit. Inside the glowing sphere, Leo floated unconscious, encased in a shimmering cocoon of translucent material. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. She took a step forward, but a voice cold and sharp echoed from the darkness. "So this is the infamous human mother," the voice hissed. "I was expecting more fire." A figure stepped into the light, a Clerian larger and more imposing than the others, adorned with jagged armor and a cloak that rippled like liquid shadow. Its eyes burned with intelligence and malice. "You have no idea what you've stumbled into," it said, circling her like a predator toying with its prey. "The child is unique. His energy signature is unlike anything we've seen, and he will fuel our ascension." Evelyn raised her rifle, her hands steady despite the rush of adrenaline. "He's my son. Let him go, or you'll see fire." The Clerian leader laughed, a low, guttural sound that sent chills down her spine. "You think a single human can stand against the shadows of Clear? This galaxy belongs to us." Evelyn didn't wait for another taunt. With a sharp pull of the trigger, she unleashed a blast from her rifle. The energy bolt slamming into the containment unit's control panel. Sparks flew as alarms blared, the red veins along the walls flaring wildly. The cocoon holding Leo began to destabilize, and Evelyn sprinted forward, dodging the Clerian leader's swipe as she reached for her son. The room erupted into chaos. Clerians poured into the chamber, but Evelyn's determination fueled her actions. With Leo cradled in one arm, she activated a device on her belt, unleashing a localized electromagnetic pulse. The resulting shockwave disoriented the Clerians and deactivated their weapons. Clutching Leo tightly, Evelyn bolted for the Starblazer. Behind her, the Clerians roared in fury, but she didn't look back. The only thing that mattered now was escaping the shadows and getting her son to safety. Yet as the ship's engines roared to life and they fled the station, Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows of Clear weren't finished with them, and that Leo's energy signature held secrets far more dangerous than she could imagine. As the Starblazer cut through the void of space, the tension in the cockpit was palpable. Evelyn cradled Leo, who stirred weakly in her arms, his eyes fluttering open. He blinked a few times before his gaze settled on her, and a small, relieved smile crossed his face. "Mom?" His voice was faint but steady, carrying a mixture of confusion and trust. "I'm here, baby," Evelyn said softly, brushing a hand through his disheveled hair. Her voice wavered, but her resolve remained firm. "You're safe. Now." Leo's expression shifted, his brow furrowing as memories surfaced. They wanted something. From me. They said I had energy? He hesitated, searching for the right words. Like I was connected to something. Evelyn frowned, her protective instincts flaring. What do you mean? Connected to what? Before Leo could respond, the Starblazer's console lit up with a series of warnings. Evelyn turned to the controls, her fingers flying across the interface. A massive energy signature was emanating from their trajectory, a wave of power so intense it made the ship's systems flicker. Evelyn glanced out of the viewport and froze. Ahead of them, space seemed to ripple and twist as though the fabric of reality itself was folding. A glowing structure emerged from the distortion, its form alien and incomprehensible. It looked like a vast lattice of light and shadow, pulsating with a rhythm that resonated deep in her chest. Evelyn couldn't tell if it was a machine, a living entity, or something far beyond her understanding. Leo gasped, his small hand clutching her arm. "Mum, that's it. That's what they were talking about." Evelyn's eyes narrowed as she studied the structure. "What is it? How do you know?" "I don't know," Leo whispered, his voice trembling. "But I feel it, like it's calling me." Before Evelyn could respond, a voice filled the cabin, not through the comm system, but directly in her mind. It was vast and resonant, layered with countless tones and harmonics. "The child has awakened the Nexus. Protector, your path converges. With destiny." Evelyn's heart raced as she tightened her grip on Leo, her instincts screaming to turn the ship around. "I don't know who or what you are," she said aloud, her voice defiant, "but you're not taking him." The voice responded, calm but unyielding. "The Nexus chose him. He is the key to balance. Denying this path will unravel what remains of the harmony between systems." Suddenly, the Starblazer shuddered as another ripple of energy surged from the Nexus. Evelyn's mind raced. She glanced down at Leo, whose wide eyes were filled with a strange mixture of fear and awe. "Mom," he said quietly, his voice steady despite the chaos, "I think I can stop it. I don't know how, but I can feel it inside me." Evelyn's breath hitched. "No, you're just a kid. I won't let you get hurt." Leo placed a hand on her arm, his small fingers trembling but determined. "You saved me. Now let me save us." Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes, but she nodded, her resolve hardening. "All right, kiddo, but I'm not letting you do it alone." She guided the Starblazer toward the Nexus, its pulsating glow filling the cockpit as the ship approached. The closer they got, the more Evelyn felt an overwhelming presence pressing against her mind. It wasn't malicious. It was ancient and vast, like the weight of countless stars. As they neared the heart of the Nexus, Leo closed his eyes, his body radiating a faint glow. Evelyn held him tightly, her heart pounding as she whispered, "Whatever happens, I'm here." The Nexus responded to Leo's presence, its structure shifting and rearranging like a puzzle, finding its final piece. Light engulfed the cockpit, and Evelyn felt a surge of warmth and peace. The ship's alarms ceased, and the Nexus stabilized, its chaotic pulses turning into a harmonious glow. Evelyn exhaled a shaky breath, holding Leo as he slumped into her arms, exhausted but unharmed. The voice returned, softer this time. "Balance restored. Protector, your bond has reshaped the path." As the Nexus faded into the void, Evelyn sat in stunned silence. The Starblazer drifted in the quiet, stars glittering outside the viewport. She looked down at Leo, his face peaceful as he slept, and pulled him closer. The galaxy felt different now, changed, and deep down, Evelyn knew this was far from over. But for now, with her son safe in her arms, she allowed herself a moment to breathe.